It's dawn on day 2 of summer, 4:50 in the morning, and we have more grass work to get done. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome to a slightly different episode of Seasons in the Valley. And I say slightly different because I kind of accidentally forgot to switch on my microphone as I was recording this episode. So I'm now having to add the commentary in sort of after the fact, watching back the footage that I've stitched together. So it may get a little bit weird in places. It may not quite sync up with exactly what you're seeing, and I apologise in advance for that. I do normally check and test my microphone to make sure it's definitely switched on, and for some reason yesterday when I recorded this, I completely forgot to do that. So we'll kind of push on. We've got some more fields that we need to kind of get mowed, and we're going to try and jump in here and mow our first little field, but I don't think the grass is actually ready just yet. It's backing up to an easier access point. It looks a bit too light to me, so let's just jump out. We'll get the Wopster out and we'll check it with the Wopster. So you just cycle through, scan, and you can see now the grass is only at 67% growth. Just need to double check though, I forgot to check, is it fertilised enough? So let's double check that again. And you can see we are at 100% fertilisation of that field. So we just need to let that grow probably one more day. Maybe two, but I think one more day should be enough. And then that field will then be ready for us to actually work. And we can do maybe some silage bales on that, maybe a bit of hay. We'll see where we stand after we've done sort of today's mowing, rowing, baling, etc. So we're going to attack our small field here instead. Now this one is a native grass field. Well, I'd say native grass. This one came pre-planted with grass on it. So this one is definitely ready. Just like the grass that we had in the animal enclosures, this is now at the right level for us to get in there and attack. And of course this is fertilised, so we should get a really nice yield of grass off this field. Despite it being a pretty small field, we should get a really good number of bales. We're getting twice as much grass from this field as we are from the grass that we mowed in our animal enclosure yesterday. So we're going to get up and alongside. Hopefully we're not going to have any "you do not own this field" issues, but it may well be an issue. We'll have to see. It seems as though we're getting away with it at the moment. Oh, and there it pops up. But interestingly, look, it's the rear mower that's playing up. The front mower is absolutely fine. We've gone all the way along there, and the rear mower, for some reason, is what's triggering the you don't own this field" alert. So, well, when we were getting grass from the front mower, we weren't getting anything coming out the rear mower, which seems very odd. You'd have thought if it was going to do that, it would be the other way around. But no, for some strange reason, the front mower worked and the rear mower didn't. So we'll have to just loop back around and run the front mower over that section that didn't get mowed. It's not a major issue, it's just hassle. And it's something that we're going to need to remember if we keep this as a crop field. We're going to keep getting these issues every single time we work on the field until we own the fields that are surrounding. And as you'll see later on in the episode, it also causes a real problem for us when we get to the field by the pigs. But kind of skipping ahead a little bit too much there. So while I carry on sort of mowing this field, you can see I'm putting in a border around the edge here just to make sure that I've got as much of this field tagged as possible. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, I want to get as much grass off this field, and two, the reason I'm going as close to the edge of the field as I possibly can is that this field wasn't ploughed. So we're getting that minus 10% because it wasn't ploughed. We need to make sure that we mow as much of this field's border as absolutely physically possible, because mowing will remove the need for us to plough this field next time, and it'll also add stage 1 fertilisation, or at least it does in regular play. I imagine those mechanics will still carry across into season. To be honest, this is literally the very first time I've thought of that. as to whether or not those mechanics might be altered by seasons. So next episode, because I didn't check in this one, next episode we'll have to check and see whether or not this field A has stage 1 fertilisation and B has had that need to plough be removed. Hopefully those mechanics will still carry across. And you can see I'm putting in a third width here just to give me a little bit more room to manoeuvre when it comes to turning at the end of each pass. But while the mowing is going on, I think this is a good opportunity for us to kind of talk about some mods, because Giants are back from holiday and we've had a huge number of mods go live on consoles over the last 2 days. It was just this massive list that was published on Monday for the testing. Huge, great big list. And then Tuesday, a new list, and almost everything from that first list gone. It was one item carried across. Everything else from that list gone, disappeared. So it left us thinking, well, either a lot of stuff has failed, or we're going to get a huge number of mods, or some kind of combination of the both. Some will have failed, some will be released. And it turns out it was the latter option. We got a big number of mods released, but there were also quite a few that did fail as well. So let's take a quick look at some of the mods that did make it. Well, on the Tuesday we had the slurry trading system released. Now this is kind of a cool little mod, and it's very useful for farms if you want to use natural fertilizers but don't have huge numbers of animals. On our American Midwest playlist, we're trying to do it completely au naturel, so we're not using any synthetic fertilizers. We're not using fertilizer pellets, we're not using sprays, we're literally just using a weeder and manure and slurry / digestate to fertilize our fields. That's all we're using. Now, we've got a lot of animals on that farm, so we're kind of okay, but we're not producing quite enough levels to do that with all of our fields yet. However, the slurry trading system would allow us to go and buy slurry, which is kind of cool. And we could also sell slurry if we wanted to. If we had a large surplus of slurry and we wanted to get rid of some, we could go and sell some there. Now, I have actually tested this, and I've also got a friend of mine testing it as well, and you can actually buy and sell at the slurry point and make a profit. It's a very, very small profit because the prices are terrible, but you can buy from the slurry trading point and then sell at the slurry trading point and make probably double your money. But we're talking incredibly low value crops, so if you're going to try and do that as a money cheat, I would save your time, save your hassle, just drop a money box in if that's what you want to do, because it's just going to take so much time to make any kind of substantial amount of money that it's not really worth it. And I have to say I'm quite glad about that, because if you could just buy and then sell straight back to the same sell point and double your money, it would be a bit, if it was a lot of money, it would be a bit broken. As it is, because it's incredibly small values of cash, it's not that bad. But I do like the fact that we can now purchase slurry to fertilise our fields. It opens up the fertilising equipment a lot earlier on in your farm as well. We've also had a small shelter. Now this does appear to be seasons ready, which is kind of cool. Another one of my buddies and a regular viewer has dropped this into a snow map, cleared an area, dropped it in, waited for it to snow, and no snow has fallen inside the building. So it looks as though the small shelter might actually be seasons proof. It might have a snow mask built into it. I don't know yet. I haven't tested it for that myself, but if it is, that's really good. That's really encouraging to see. We've also had the Flegel large capacity shovels. This is a series of small shovels for a front loader, going up in various sizes, starting I think at around 2,000 litres, going up to I think 4,800 litres. 4 different shovels in that pack. We had the homemade bale trailer. This is a new bale trailer. Obviously we've had homemade bale trailers pop up in the past. This one's kind of cool, kind of old and rustic. We've had another shed, and I like the visual look of this shed. It does look really, really nice with the sort of the little brick stone walls, and I think that could be quite good to store a few little bits and bobs in. And if that's seasons proof, that would be quite nice to store some bales in as well. or you can maybe use it to store manure or something like that. And then we also had an old garage. Now this is like a big shed, but it has a garage activation point inside as well. This looks brilliant. So you can actually kind of combine vehicle storage with a workshop. That's really nice to see. We also have the Massey 135 and 240 and the 20/B/D as a pack here by Peter J, and these are fantastic. Incredibly small, very low powered tractors. We're talking 45 horsepower for the 135, and then the 20 and the 240 have 47 horsepower, but the detail in them is brilliant. I absolutely love the look of these little tractors. They also come with a front loader attachment as well, which can also be changed from the standard Massey red to the industrial Massey yellow colour, so it will match up with the 20. Really nice little pack, and I can see myself using some of these when we do relaunch Massey Manor. And we also got updates for the solar shed, the second of the two ones that was released, the larger one. The West Coast has been released with its new patch, so that is now fully seasons ready. It's also fully ready for sugarcane. It's also had the placeable area put in where the quarry was as well, and a few other little bug fixes and optimizations going in there as well. So the West Coast is now fully compatible with seasons. And new Bartelshagen has been re-released as well. You can see I actually just missed a bit of grass there. I spotted it as I was driving back up, so we're going to go back in to the field there, just catch that last little bit of grass. But yeah, new Bartelshagen is back. It has been re-released. I haven't had the chance to load into this yet and see if anything has really changed. I'm guessing the nudie pics that are in one of the garage are gone, and that was, thought to be the main reason why it disappeared within 24 hours. But I just don't have the mod space to, unfortunately, download that map and have another look at it. But I do really like that map. I'm glad to see that's back as well. So that's what went live on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we had another flurry of mods, and again we had some really useful mods for seasons going forward. So the one that everybody was waiting for, the one that everyone was really hoping to get as quickly as possible, was the Rabaud Xylor stump grinder. It's great to see that's come out. I've had a little play about with this, and it is fantastic. You can just remove trees without even having to cut them down by driving up and using that thing. It's fantastic. Absolutely love that. A great job by Black Sheep on that one. And we've also, excuse my stomach gurgling there, we've also had possibly one of the most requested mods of the past few weeks. Ever since Seasons came out, everybody was wanting snowplows and snowblowers and so on and so forth. We now have a snowblower by Biobelts. So by Toxicom, a Biobelts snowblower. Now this is a little bit tricky to use. I had a quick play about with this on a very snowy Sosnovka, just moving some snow, but it does work. It's a little bit fiddly the first time you use it. Once you've used it a couple of times and you're used to the controls, it's really straightforward and easy. I recommend that you use it at a speed of about 3 miles an hour. Otherwise you start to miss little bits of snow, but at 3 miles an hour you should clear everything quite nicely. Got a positional arm so you can choose where the snow is blown and where the drifts on the side will start to build up. And it also has an angle that you can change on the pipe itself as well, so you can blow really close to the tractor or you can push it really far away. Really great little mod that. The only downside I have with this mod is that you don't actually see the snow leaving the pipe and going onto the ground, but apart from that, this is a cracking little mod, and it's something that we've been after since Seasons was made available. A lot of people have been after it. We also got the Ransom HR31-86 and TS93F. These are a plough and cultivator set, also by Peter J, and these are kind of designed to work with the little 135 and 240 Masseys that he released. Nice little tools there. We got the Gorank Grinder 3 meter, kind of a grinding cultivator, released sort of in partnership with BSM. I think that's been a bit of a collaboration with Black Sheep and is it Minotaur Modding, I think? The Let's just double check. I thought I had an image of that. I don't. Apologies for that. So I'll double check that. But yeah, we had the grinder. We also got the Heckamp shovel. This is just a basic small shovel designed for small equipment, so it's only like a 1500 litre capacity. But you know, if you're looking to really get into the good selection of small equipment, then that's something that's going to be useful to you for a front loader. And then we got the Art Mechanic PT25. Now this is a weight for telehandlers, and I think you could also potentially fit it to a wheel loader as well, and this is great. How many times have we seen wheel loaders wobbling a little bit when you've got lots of bales on the end? Not going to be an issue going forward. You can now hook up this weight, and it's a 2500 kilo weight as well, so pretty hefty. Going to give you a nice extra bit of security at the back of your vehicle there. And of course it's got a nice little attachment as well, so you can hook a trailer up to the back of it as well. It really does add a lot of functionality and versatility to our front loaders, so great to see that. And then we also got an update for Hagenstedt. That is now fully seasons ready as well, so we now have a couple of different maps that have been completely patched ready for seasons. So obviously we've got this map here, seasons, sorry, the Valley of the Old Farm. We have the aggravation map, which I believe is fully seasons ready. I think possibly, I'm kind of not sure about this, but it's possible. I've heard differing reports that Old Streams might possibly be seasons ready. Haven't seen an update for that, so I'm kind of dubious about that one. But now the West Coast is fully seasons ready, and now Hagenstedt as well. So we have a nice little selection to go with the 3 base game maps from Giants that are also seasons ready. We now have quite a nice little selection of maps available to us that we can play seasons on as intended. And we have more stuff in testing still as well. More maps on the way. Garala is still in testing. It's great to see that. We have Spectacle Island on the way. We have a couple of other potential maps on the way, and we're still waiting to see Oakfield go into testing as well, the new map from Oxygen David. So the mods are kind of just exploding at the moment. We're getting so many great new mods, and so many are going through testing at the moment. We've had a little backlog build up over the Christmas period, and that's now starting to just bottleneck and just whoosh release onto the console. It's really great to see, you know, some seasons supporting mods coming out so quickly. Really grateful to the modders who've pushed those live as quick as they can for us. I want to clear something up as well from the last episode. Firstly, I want to address the bale trailer. Thank you so much for your comments. It's great to get your feedback. Overwhelmingly, the response seems to be keep the auto-load trailer, so it'll help speed things up when it comes to loading those bales. And I can see the point and the argument in that respect. Yes, baling can sometimes take a long time. Even if I do my editing to kind of trim it down, loading trailers can take quite a long time. This is a nice quick and easy way to kind of get those stacked, and it's kind of the same as when I do my stacking off camera. It's kind of the same thing. It just helps speed things up, so we may as well keep it. People have suggested as well, perhaps when it comes to trying to back that trailer back up again, because I made a bit of a mess of it last time, actually hooking the trailer up to the front of the tractor and kind of driving it in that way, and apparently that might make it a little bit easier. So I will give that a try next time we break that trailer out, which will be in the next episode. I also made a reference to slowing baling down, or slowing time down just to do the baling, and then speeding time up again once all the baling had been done, and saying that I felt that was a little bit cheaty. I think a couple of people might have misconstrued what I was trying to say there. What I was talking about was within the mechanics of seasons. To me, it felt a little bit cheaty, because we're running everything at sort of ×5, and I know we kind of started at regular time on the first episode or two because we had so many trees to get done and we didn't have any really good equipment. That was simply just to get our season started and out the way, but I fully intend to play the rest of this Let's Play at 5 times speed. I'll only kind of speed time up when it rains, just to get the rain out of the way. If we've got nothing to do, say we're harvesting, we're waiting, we'll speed time up to clear the rain so we can get back to recording again. There may be instances where we just leave it at that and just let it rain, and depends what we're doing on that day, but generally we're going to be running at times 5 the whole time. And to me, just slowing down just to avoid losing a little bit of product from our grass windrows and our bales just seemed to me to be a little bit cheaty, given that Realismus Modding themselves recommend that you run seasons on a 9-day cycle and that you run at times 5 and you never change the time settings. So slowing down to real time just to avoid losing a little bit of grass from our windrows and our bales, to me, felt a little bit cheaty within the mechanics of seasons. It wasn't a slight on people's personal preference as to how they want to do the baling. It just, to me, it felt a little bit of a cheat against the mechanics of the mod. So that's why I made those comments, and if I did upset or annoy anybody by those, I do apologise, but it wasn't intended. So one thing I have noticed with this particular baler, and I'm not entirely sure why it does this, is that every time a bale is released from the back of it, it pops it. It doesn't release it like all the regular balers, it just pops it. Almost like it's oversized. Like it's wedged in there, and as soon as it pops out, it expands up to its normal size and it jumps. It does make it quite tricky. There you see again another baler just bouncing out the back of it rather than just smoothly rolling out the back of the baler. I don't know, not working on a farm, not working with bales, I don't know if that's a realistic kind of movement, but it does seem a little bit strange. It's the only baler I've seen do it as well on on every single bale. Occasionally you'll see it on some of the other balers, but that one, it seems to happen all the time. So a little bit odd. And there's a little bit of footage here that's missing that didn't record as I was actually recording my my series episode. You'll notice as well that the money is slightly different. We started the episode off at around about 6,000, I think, in debt. What I actually did was I was finding it quite awkward to position some of the bales the right way to get into the bale wrapper. You can see here it's a little bit awkward trying to get into some of them, and they catch and they kind of bounce a little bit. So what I did was I actually bought a bale pusher. I think they only cost about £1,000, not very expensive at all, but I had to take out 10,000 from the bank. So we now have a €670,000 loan, just so that I could get enough cash, like 1,000, to be able to buy the bale pusher. It is delivered onto the farm, and you will just see a little sneak peek of it in the background as we park up and go and collect another piece of equipment, but we don't actually use it in this episode. We will be using it next time we do some wrapping, so probably when we attack our other small grass field here at this part of the map. You'll see me kind of using the bale pusher to get in there and reposition stuff. Well, that's the last bale on this field. We've got another good sized number of bales off this field, and it's not bad considering it's a small field. We're getting 190% fertilised grass on that one. Again, minus that 10% because it wasn't ploughed, as you remember. But a very, very good amount of bales for such a small field, which is encouraging because we're probably going to be doing silage bales on our other grass field that's just in front of us and now to our right hand side once that has finished growing. So as we head back into the farm, we're going to park up and remove our equipment. Now if you just look right in front of us, you can just make out there is the bale pusher kind of parked up there. It's been delivered, hasn't been used yet, and we don't actually use it in this episode because we don't do any more wrapping. What we're going to do now is we're going to start making our way over to the pig field, we're going to transition our equipment over there and do some hay on that field. But before we do that, I want to do a little test. I want to see whether or not grass that's stored in our forage and chip silo will actually rot. I don't think it will, and I've heard other people say it doesn't, but I need to kind of see this for myself. So what I'm going to do is just going to mow a very small strip, just a few thousand litres, and we've got a nice little bit of grass inside our sheep paddock, which isn't obviously going to get used. So we're going to go in there, we're going to mow a border around the edge of our grass paddock inside the sheep pen, and then we're going to get our wheel loader and we're going to use the bucket, we're going to scoop that, stick it in the silo, and see over the next 24 hours or so in game whether or not that goes down. So let's get this gate opened. There we go. Got to hold the button down. I keep forgetting about that. It's me just pressing it once and nothing happening. So again, to make sure that, because we're not going to have that much grass, to make sure it doesn't start degrading too much before we get to it, I'm going to get the wheel loader set up first of all. So this thing is big and it's heavy, but it's pretty awesome. And we're just going to use this bucket here. There's no need to get like a forage wagon or a loading wagon or anything like that. We don't need anything that's going to scoop that grass up for us. We can do it nice and easily with the shovel on this wheel loader. And I had initially bought this to help kind of clear out the farmyard and go and do the roads and stuff where we needed to in the winter. We might not really need to do that now with that snowblower mod coming out, but we'll probably do something with it in the winter. Plus, we have got it for when we do some logging as well, so it's not going to be completely kind of sidelined, this vehicle. We are going to use it a little bit more in depth. Plus, obviously, when we break into silage as well, we'll be able to use it with the scoop that we've got fitted and the leveler as well to really get in there and work our silage. But let's get the mower going. We're going to go in and we're going to do that little strip of grass around the edge of this paddock now. It's quite a nice little sized sheep paddock here, and I do really want to try and get some sheep into our farm. At some point we will have to check and see just how much they cost us right now and what their value is, and maybe see if we need to wait until a little bit later in the year to buy some sheep in. The biggest problem is if we wait till when they're cheapest, it's also the worst time in terms of wool production. So there we go, that's our grass sort of mowed. Let's get that bucket lowered and start scooping. Now this is a little bit tricky to do because the ground is a little uneven, and because it changes height as well. Sometimes you think you've got the bucket down just enough, and we do just here, but if we move at a slightly different elevation height, all of a sudden the bucket might not be good enough. So we constantly have to kind of keep repositioning it ever so slightly. And also, when you start changing onto uneven ground, you get that point where the bucket drags and catches on the ground and actually pushes the front wheels up a little bit, and so you lose control of your steering. That's just something else you kind of need to be wary of. So you can see we're getting a nice good scoop here, and this is exactly what I meant here. Look, we see we're struggling with our wheel loaders turning. We've had to reposition the bucket again, and now we've repositioned it a little bit too high. So again, when you get this uneven ground like this, it does make it very tricky to get a nice consistent scoop. You have to kind of keep readjusting. There we go, we have almost all the grass. I think we've missed just a little bit. See, we're struggling because the front wheels aren't purchasing on the ground properly, but there we go. 2,984 litres of grass in our bucket. It's not a lot, but it doesn't need to be a lot. So what we're going to do now is dump this into our forage and chip silo, and then we'll keep checking this at random points and see whether or not we're losing anything. In theory, if this were left out in the open, this would start degrading pretty much instantly. And there you can see in the top right corner, there is our stored grass inside the silo. So we will check that from time to time, as I say, see if anything degrades. But now let's get ourselves over to the pig field. So again, to kind of speed up operations over here and stop that grass from degrading too much, or while we're tedding it, because obviously we've got to cut it, then windrow it, then ted it, then windrow it. That initial stage from when it's being cut to when it's being ted, it's going to start degrading ever so slightly. Once we ted it, it'll be fine. The only way it's going to degrade is if it rains, and if you look at the weather forecast right now, there's no danger of that happening. We have glorious, glorious sunshine right now, and pretty much this is our prediction for the rest of summer weather, just like this. So if it does rain, I'll be a little worried, but also a little disappointed as well. We should be fine in terms of not raining, at all through the summer. But you never know. It is a completely random weather system within its set sort of guidelines, so it could rain at some point later in the month, later in the season. We'll just have to see how the weather plays out. So I just got caught there on the gate, turned a little bit too soon. That little bolt that sticks out to fasten the gate just is what caught my tractor there. But same again, I want to try and get as close around these borders as I physically can to remove that plough state. Once again, forgot to check it this episode. We will check it next time out and see whether or not those mechanics do copy across. It's really tricky to get right up against the side of this fence because it's right on the edge of the grass. And this proved to be very problematic and very annoying. You can see we're getting that "you do not own this field" issue popping up again. Neither of our mowers are working this time. You can see we're just running over the grass, nothing is getting cut. So let's try stepping in a little bit more. In fact, actually, let's not try that. We're going to loop around. I forgot. We loop around the opposite way and try and attack it from the other side. Now, obviously, this works for us with the weeder, but as you'll see, it didn't work with the mowers. For whatever reason, the mowers just do not like that strip of grass there. So while we can ted and we can plant and we can plough and everything else that we need to do on that field in that point, if we judge it from the right angle with the mowers, we just can't. It just doesn't like it for some reason. You can see we're catching on the fence there because we're so close to the edge of the field. I really don't like going around the field this way round because I just find it much harder to control where that rear mower is going. I prefer it to be on the inside rather than the outside. We're coming up here now to this problematic patch of our field, and we're going to keep getting this issue until we buy the field next to us. So once again, you can see we do not own this field. Now we're going to try a little bit of a reposition. Neither mower is working still, so let's try stepping in a little bit. And what we're also going to do is we're actually going to lift and fold up the rear mower, because I think that might also be causing part of the problem. It's still a little bit too close, but there you can see if we just drifted slightly, we started to cut the grass. So we've had to basically give up 1.5 widths along the side of this field. It's really frustrating, but we just can't seem to work it. Again, you see, I just drifted in ever so slightly too much, and instantly we stopped cutting that grass and we just ran it flat and reduced what we would actually get from that strip. So it's frustrating, it's annoying, and it's going to keep happening until we own the field next door, and then we'll actually be able to fully utilise this field in here. But until that happens, we're just going to have to forfeit, quite a wide strip on that side of the field, which is, it's annoying, it's frustrating. There's nothing we can do about it. You've seen me with the weeder, running in the opposite direction, being able to bypass that problem, but with the mower, it just doesn't work at all. It really doesn't. So, yeah, not good, and nothing we can do to change it. So I'm putting in 4 passes this time, or 4 rows of grass at each end to make it easier for us to turn, because we are so close to that fence. Just found that 3 wasn't quite enough on the other field that we did earlier, so 4 should hopefully be a little bit better for us this time. Doesn't take too long to mow the grass once you get into a rhythm. You can see we've almost done on this field already. Just this last little strip to go, and then we can break out the tedder and we can start making some hay. And these hay bales will again get stored in that loft above where our tractors live, back on the main farm. That is the designated safe area on this map, where our bales can be stored in there and will be protected from the rain and from the snow. Obviously we've got that new shed that's coming that potentially negates the effect, has like its own snow mask built into it. I need to test that before I add it into this farm and start sticking bales in there, but in theory that should be good. And what I've also heard, and what I'll test when we start stacking the bales, is I've also heard a rumour that you can actually wrap the hay bales on this as well, just to give them a little bit of extra protection. I don't know if that's true. I'm not going to say it's true, not until I've tried it. Personally, I doubt that it's true, but Seasons does do so much to overwrite the original base game code in all sorts of situations that you can't completely discount it until you actually try it. So we will try that next time out. Once we've transported the bales back to the farm, we will try and just see whether or not we can wrap a hay bale. I strongly doubt we can, but you never know. You see me catching the tedder there on the fence pole, and really making a bit of a mess of my attempts to drive here. You have to kind of lift it up as well when you reverse, or else it starts getting pushed in a really wonky direction. I haven't done tedding for quite a while, so at least not with a proper tedder like this. So I'm a little out of practice, I have to say. What I have been doing is, I've been doing stuff with smaller tedders like the hay bob, for, on Deut's farm, and in the background on Big Bud farm as well. I've been using a hay bob rather than a proper sized tedder, so I'm a little out of practice with one of these things. I forgot just how awkward they can be when you start getting into tight corners like this. You start catching it on fences all the time. You have to keep backing up and lifting it constantly, and yeah, it's just one of those mindsets you have to get back into again to use one of these things. I think when you've been using something that's so completely different, going back to one of these styles of tedders takes a moment to just adjust and get back to where you were with it the previous. Well, hopefully we're going to get a nice good little supply of hay off this field. As I said, I do want to try and get some sheep onto our farm at some point. It depends, I think, how much money we're going to make from silage baling, because we're not going to make any money really contracting. The jobs are really cheap. We're only getting a couple of thousand per job, and there's no time bonuses. So I think the main bulk of our money is going to come from our silage bales, and then later in the year, once we've done our harvesting, our crop sales. That's going to be sort of end of autumn and winter and July, in spring kind of time. Those are going to be the kinds of periods where we're selling our crops. So up until that point, we're talking basically our silage bales is our main source of income over the summer, and hopefully we can raise enough so that we can actually get some sheep in, and then we can use these hay bales to feed them, because obviously sheep can have grass or hay, either one will do. And I just missed a little bit there. You saw I went back to collect it. I think what I did there was actually just clip the hedge, or clip the fence next to the hedge, which caused me to bounce the tedder up a little bit, and that's why I missed those patches. I'm not 100% certain what caused that. I remember, speculating on why that happened when I was actually recording as well and talking into a dead microphone. And there we go. That is our tedding just about done. So we've got quite a nice good amount of hay on the field here. And as I say, we're in no rush now. Now that it's hay, it's not going to degrade. We don't have to worry about it starting to disappear off the field. It'll last until it starts to rain, effectively. So as long as we have it baled and put away in a safe area before that happens, you know, what we've got is what we've got. We're not going to lose anything in this process. Just got this last little bit of grass to row here. Once that's done, we can get the baler out and we can start baling this hay. It's going to be quite awkward actually using the baler in here, you know, with those with the size and the weight of it. You know, we've got some really tight corners here. It is going to make it a little bit trickier to actually get the baling done. Just getting our windrower parked up. And let's just check to see. Yes, you can see in the top right corner, still 2984. Our grass has not degraded at all in the silo in the couple of hours or so that it's been in there, which is really good to see. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor that through the rest of this day, and then you know, we'll have a definite answer sort of, you know, at some point in the next episode as to whether or not it does degrade or not. But based on what we've seen so far, that grass is completely protected, so that's kind of cool. It's useful to know for American Midwest, because I have a lot of product in those silos already waiting to be transitioned over to a season's playthrough. So it's good to know that that stuff's going to be protected. But it does also mean that, you know, we could bypass the whole grass dilemma thing. I don't know. I mean, it's good because, you know, with our cows, you know, we're going to need a way to feed our cows when we do actually move into sort of cattle. We're going to need a way to be able to feed them grass. And if our grass is, you know, disintegrating and disappearing after just 2 days, there's not a lot we can actually do. You know, we can fill our food trough up for 3 days at a time. We do that, and then after 3 days, we go back to fill the food trough, and all the grass we've got is gone. So there are ways you could kind of play around with that. I mean, you could cut your grass in stages based on when you're filling your food troughs. But I think it's better for us if we had grass kept in our silos purely for our animals. So that, just knocked my pop shield there, sorry for that. I think it's a better idea if we have the grass kind of just kept protected for our animals, so that when we do need to feed them, we can. It keeps them healthy, keeps them making money, keeps them breeding, and just, you know, makes working with animals a little bit easier for us. And you can see how much our baler is really struggling, A, up that hill, and B, with this tight corner. It is a big, big, heavy beast, and it does not like working in those conditions. Maybe our T7 would be a little bit, you know, better off with this thing, but I don't really want to, you know, as you know, we bought the T6 to be our summer tractor, to do our baling and our grass work, and I don't really want to kind of step away from that. Now the main reason I'm getting this hay together is I want the option to be able to add sheep into the farm at some point this calendar year. Obviously if we can't, we'll have a nice little supply for the following year, hopefully. But, you know, I would like to try and get them in this year. So we need to look, actually, and see just how much sheep are going to cost us if we do try and buy them this year. When are they going to be cheapest? Let's pull up the menu and have a quick look. And you can see that they're actually quite pricey at the moment, but they will come down in price around the first 3 weeks or so of autumn. So that's probably when we'll be looking to buy them. We're just about out of hay, and we're just about out of time. That is it for another episode of Seasons in the Valley. A bit unusual, this one here, with the commentary recorded after everything else was kind of put together. So I do appreciate your patience in watching this one. It's been a little bit strange for me recording this way, but hopefully we'll be back to normal service next time out. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and we'll be back with more Seasons in the Valley very soon.